Hi, everyone, and welcome to Brian's Horror Corner, and welcome to this top 10 episodes of a classic horror TV series video and summary of the series that I've been doing for March 2022. We are at the last video for this series, and that, of course, is where I've taken a look at the entire Tales from the Dark Side series from the 1980s. I have all four individual season reviews up on my channel if you want to check those out, from my favorite episodes to my least favorite for each season. Now we're going to do overall my favorite episodes of the entire series as well as my least favorite. So top 10 favorites, bottom 5 least favorites. And then after that I'm going to give my overall summary of the entire series. Since this was really the first time that I'd watched a series all the way through, seen every episode. Just give you my thoughts about it and sort of wrap up this entire series. It's hard to believe we're at the end of March, end of March, but here we are. So it's going to end up annoying us here during this video. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start first with my bottom five for the entire series and my top 10. Now, keep in mind that this is just my opinion and this is just from a one-time watch on all these episodes. So these lists could change dramatically in a year from now or upon a couple of rewatches of the entire series. But first time through, this is what I've got. Um, and I do have dishonorable mentions and honorable mentions as well that I'll do before I give you my number one for my least favorite and my number one favorite of the series to kind of pique some interest and some suspense. So here we go. So starting with the bottom, we're going to start with number five, my fifth least favorite episode of the entire series. And that's going to be Grandma's Last Wish. I believe this is from season one, if I'm not mistaken, a later season one episode towards the end of the season. This was the one about the grandma who, the family, I believe it's a mom and a dad and at least a daughter, I believe. They don't treat the grandma very well. They kind of ignore her. And she basically gets her wish where they have to sort of see life through her eyes and what she experiences. And yeah, it just didn't work for me. I didn't. All the characters were annoying as hell, and yeah, just kind of a boring episode to be honest with you. So that's my number five. Number four is the last episode of the entire series entitled Basher Malone, which if you've seen my just from a few days ago my season four review, you know that this was my least favorite episode from the entire season. Or well, no, not my least favorite from the entire season, but close. This has to do with a boxer and a promoter at the gym that they're at who pulls out another fighter from a Pepsi machine. Basically, it's just the most ridiculous premise. And to be honest with you, nothing in this episode kept my attention. I didn't care. It wasn't creepy. It wasn't scary. This is what I call filling out the final season of a series, quite frankly. Just a really bad episode. So that's Basher Malone, my fourth least favorite episode of this series. Number three is The Bitterest Pill. I believe this is a season three episode, I think. The Bitterest Pill, which was my least favorite season three episode. This was again characters. When you have characters in this episode and any episode that you just don't care about any of them, and you find them to be very annoying, then that's why it ends up on this list. So this episode, yeah, it's just I don't even remember what it's about, to be honest with you, which tells you a lot. It's something about an eccentric uncle scientist that's come up with some new pill or something, and it ends up falling on the carpet, and their young kid picks it up. And the parents don't treat the kid very well, but the kid, at the end of the episode, any sympathy that your enjoyment you had with him of getting his own and kind of getting back at him quickly goes out the window, and you realize that he's about as unlikable as they are. Just a terrible episode, The Bitterest Pill. I really shouldn't get too much into each of these episodes. I did that in my seasonal series, so I'm going to try to keep it shorter. Number two is my least favorite season four episode. That's Seymour Llama. Just see my season four review for why this one. Again, it's all about the characters, and the premise is beyond ridiculous as well. And there's nothing scary about this episode. It's meant to be a lighthearted, funny episode. And then finally, I'll give you my dishonorable mentions before I give you my number one. I almost forgot about that. So, a few of my dishonorable mentions of least favorite episodes are Barter, Mookie and Pookie, Old Acquaintances, A Serpent's Tooth, and Fear of Floating. Episodes I really didn't enjoy, but they just weren't quite bad enough to make my bottom five. But that leads us to my number one, my least favorite episode of this entire series, what I call the worst episode of this entire series, at least at this point for a one-time watch. And that, of course, to nobody's surprise, if you've seen my videos, is going to be the false prophet. The last episode from season one, and boy, were they stretching with this episode. You know, you start with Ronnie Blakely, who I literally could not stand a second of her in this episode. I wanted something to fall on her so badly and kill her. I can't even tell you. Just everything about her in this episode was beyond annoying. She makes the other characters in these earlier bad episodes that I've mentioned look like award winners, quite frankly. That's how bad and how annoyed I was by her. But then on top of that, you throw in the fact I don't care about this episode. This idea about this prophet computer that's telling her about traveling or whatever was going on. It's not a Tales from the Dark Side episode. It doesn't work at all. And yeah, I'll never watch this episode again, quite frankly. And that's just the truth of it. If you like any of these episodes, I apologize. To each their own, but that's just how I feel with my five least favorite episodes. Okay, now we're on to bigger and better things, which is my top 10 episodes of this entire series, all four seasons. And this was much more difficult to come up with than the bottom five. So I'm just going to do 10 through 2, then I'll give you my honorable mentions, and then I'll do my all time favorite. Just like before, this is just off a one time watch. I could see a lot of these episodes moving up, moving down, or moving off this list altogether. Or episodes that aren't on this list coming on this list, my top 10, at some point beyond once I rewatch the series once or twice more. So coming at number 10 is going to be the Kazafin curse. I always pronounce this wrong. I did it my season review too. The Kazavin curse, I think, is what it's called. This was just a very intriguing episode, really good mystery, a really good story that unfolded, and I thought the performances were good. This was from the end of season two, which is the best season of this series. I'll get more into that in a minute, in my opinion. But yeah, the Kazavon curse. I'm not going to say it again. I'll mess it up for like the fifth time. But very solid episode. I really enjoyed it. It had to be in my top 10. Number 9 is another season 2 episode entitled A New Lease on Life. This is basically the one about the guy that moves into the apartment building, gets cheap rent, and thinks that everything's too good to be true. And as it is, he's right. It is too good to be true. Let's just say the building sort of has a mind of its own, and that's about as much as I want to say. But yeah, just a very fun, very fitting Tales from the Dark Side episode. It really fits for this series. Number 8, I'm going to go with Black Widows from season 3. This was the mom and the daughter that lived in like a trailer park or something, and the daughter meets a guy that she thinks is her true love, and let's just say their wedding night doesn't quite go as planned. She discovers a secret that her mom has known, and now that she discovers, and it's just a very creepy, very good Tales from the Dark Side episode. Once again, good acting, very interesting and good premise, and good gore as well. So, yeah, Black Widows is my eighth favorite episode from the series. Number 7 is one of the last. I think it's the last great episode, as I see it, for the series from season 4, and that's "Do Not Open This Box." This was sort of a surprise episode for me because you have one character that's very annoying, you have one character that's very likable that you want to see get good things going their way, and then you have one character that's sort of like a dual character that has a great twist to it, and the effects were very good in this episode. The like the conclusion of this episode was very satisfying. It's a very creepy episode, all about this box that this couple finds in their basement that says "Do not open," and of course they do. Um, they don't think there's anything in it, but there actually is. It's just great. It's just a great Tales from the Dark Side episode. I really enjoyed. Number six, we're going to go back to season one, and that's going to be Anniversary Dinner. I actually wanted to try to get this episode higher, but when you see my top five, you'll know why I couldn't. I love this episode. Anniversary Dinner is one of the very best episodes of this series. I did not see the twist coming. I knew something was weird about this couple, but it's just I loved it. It's just one of the great television episodes, not just of this series, but of any horror TV series, classic TV series. Yeah, I don't want to give too much away. If you want to hear more about any of these episodes, obviously tune in for the seasons. That's why I'm giving the seasons at the end of each of these, so you can go back and check out my individual season review. Okay, getting into the top five now. Sorry, right number. That's my number five from season four. This one's not really mentioned by a lot of people I see, but I really enjoyed it. I liked it's a Stephen King episode. He wrote this episode, and so you can see why that it's in my top five. I'm a huge Stephen King's my favorite author, obviously, with horror books. But this is just a great surreal sort of episode that again it has a great twist. But the creepy part about it is once you find out what the twist is, it's of course too late to do anything about it. But it just it doesn't leave you. It has a lot of good atmosphere and good music and eerie music in this episode. A lot of eerie scenes, and yeah, sorry, right number. Very enjoyable. One of my favorite episodes of the series. Number four, we're going to go with The Last Car from season two. This was one of the later season two episodes. This one's often mentioned. This is a great episode. The makeup effects, the practical special effects are awesome in this episode. One of the best in the entire series. But this is one about the young college girl that's going home for Thanksgiving, and she ends up waiting for this train, and there's room in this last car that she gets into, and just very weird things happen, especially as it relates to going through a tunnel. It's just you have to watch it. I mean, I would recommend, of course, all of my top 10 episodes as well as the honorable mentions I'm going to give you if you want to just check out certain episodes of the series. But this is one of the very best. The Last Car, I could watch this over and over again. I really enjoyed, and she was pretty easy on the eyes too. The actress that played the young college woman, so that doesn't hurt either. So now we're to the best of the best. The top three episodes of Tales from the Dark Side. Number three, got to go with Devil's Advocate from season two. This episode just blew me away. I love the on-screen transformation, Jerry Stiller's performance. This is the one about the radio show host who's pretty cynical and kind of a creep and kind of just mean, to be honest with you. He has people call up and he basically balls them out for not working hard enough, things of that nature. And let's just say the title Devil's Advocate really comes to fruition in this episode. It's just a great, very creepy, very just enjoyable episode. Number two, and all of these top five could change. These will all probably only go higher at this point, not lower, depending on the day that I watch them again. But number two, I really thought about making number one, and that's the Geese and Stacks. I just like saying that name, the Geese and Stacks from season three. This was an early season three episode. Love this episode. This is the one about the dollhouse that the uncle finds in an empty house, but you don't think too much of it at the time. You think it's kind of weird, and he gives it to this daughter, this young girl, of these parents, and she starts acting out these dolls within this house. Those type of things end up actually happening to her and her family, and it's just got one of the great twist endings. Again, I put this up there with any of the Twilight Zone twist endings, the original Twilight Zone, and that's saying something for me if you've seen my Twilight Zone reviews. Love this episode. I absolutely love the Geese and Stacks from season three. But if I'm being honest, for the first time watch, oh, I'm sorry, I almost did it again. Got to give you my honorable mentions before I can give you my number one. So my honorable mentions include Bigelow's Last Stand, or I'm sorry, Last Stand, Bigelow's Last Smoke, Trick or Treat, The Old Soft Shoe, No Strings, Family Reunion, Payment Overdue, and In the Cards. Those are all honorable mentions that just couldn't make my top 10, but I would recommend any of those. I would recommend checking any of those out if you haven't seen them. But my number one could really only be one thing, at least at this point, and that's going to be Inside the Closet. Obviously the most iconic episode and You only have to look at the front cover of what I have here to know that. This guy right here, inside the closet. Everything works about this episode, from the fact that, the second here, I don't want to forget the names. Um, Roberta Weiss and Fritz Weaver. And I love Fritz Weaver from the Twilight Zone original series. He's awesome in this episode. Roberta Weiss, who I don't really know, she looks great in this episode. She's also very good in this episode from an acting standpoint. And then the fact that it was directed by Tom Savini, and you can really tell the special effects are top notch, the suspense is top notch, the music is top notch. This is the creme de la creme. This is one of the great horror episodes of any TV series. It really is. Inside the Closet, I absolutely love it. He's just a very creepy, very well done character. Yeah, I can't praise this episode enough. If there's one episode to watch, you only have time for one episode of this entire series. You have to watch Inside the Closet, and you'll know what Tales from the Dark Side is all about. Okay, so now that we've done that, now I'm going to give you my overall summary. And of course, I lost the page I was looking for now. Uh, Kind of helps explain my summary here. Sorry about this. I'm unorganized, I guess. Well, where did it go? Stay with me here for a minute, guys. We're getting close because there's only a few more places it could be. Well, actually, I don't think for the life of me, for whatever reason, I can't find it now. But I know what I'm trying to get at anyway. So, to give some context to what I think of this series, there were only 12 episodes out of about 90 that I gave a less than 3 out of 5 to. So these are episodes that range, I think they range from 1.5 to 2.5. Only 12 out of 90. So that says a lot about this series. And to add more credence to that, there were 31 episodes out of 90 that I gave um, a 4 or higher. So 4 or 4.5. I didn't give out any fives. Although, in listening and thinking about my review here, the Geese and Stack should probably be a 5 out of 5, as well as Inside the Closet. Those I think are 5 out of 5. But my point is, 31 episodes were 4 out of 5 or better. So 4, 4.5, and 5 out of 5. Which, yeah, that's like a third of the entire series. And then everything else, of course, that's 43 total. So I mean, what does that leave you with? Like 37 that are basically between a 3 and a 4, which means they're good episodes. Just not all time great episodes for me. But what can I say? I enjoy the hell out of this series. I love the fact that it's from the 80s, all the 80s cheese. I enjoy seeing the actors and actresses that either made their name before this series and came back, or made their name after this series. And this is how they got their start. Somebody like Christian Slater or Fritz Weaver on the other end of the spectrum. Um, Really enjoyable series. It doesn't quite reach the original Twilight Zone level for me, which had 5 seasons. This has 4, but it's close. It isn't a big step down. I just think that over the course of 5 seasons, the original Twilight Zone was a little bit stronger all the way through. Season 2 is definitely the best season for me. Then I would probably say season 3, then season 4, and then season 1. I would go in that order from my favorite to my least. Not to say that season 1, obviously, it has the greatest episode on my list of the entire series, but there's a lot of Mookie and Pookie episodes in season 1. I will say, I think when they stuck with horror and more serious tones, they did much better with this series. They did a lot of episodes. There's at least like 5 or 6 from each season where they seem to try to let up on the horror and do like a lighter episode. And the Twilight Zone did this too with some episodes, which I wasn't really a big fan of those either. Um, when I'm watching a horror series like this, I would rather have suspense and mystery and thrills and horror and great special effects and gore, as opposed to trying to make me laugh. Now, that's not to say I don't love to laugh. I love my comedies, whether they be movies or the TV shows. It's just that when I tune in for the Twilight Zone or Tales from the Dark Side or other horror series, which I'll be getting into over the next year or whatever, over time, I'm not sure exactly when, but I don't think it works as well. I think they should stick to the creepier ones. When they do that, this series is very successful. Um, I will mention the special effects too. It includes in commentary by executive producer George A. Romero, on air with George Romero featurette, bonus episodes that I mentioned in my season 4 review. At the end of on the last disc of season 4, Akbar's Daughter and Attic Suite, which are they were pilot episodes by the same production company that did Tales from the Dark Side to try to start up other series unsuccessfully, but they're good bonus episodes to watch, certainly. Um, yeah, I know I'm probably rambling, but I really enjoy this, guys. I love the fact, like I said, it's from the '80s, and I love the actors and actresses that we see throughout the series, and I think they did really well when they stuck to horror and more serious suspense and mystery themes, as opposed to the comedy shenanigans that they went with. So that's my list. Those are my thoughts on the series. Go ahead and comment down below what you guys think of the series. Give me your top episodes, your least favorite episodes of the entire series. I hope you enjoyed this entire series. I certainly enjoyed going through and watching all 90 some episodes and 4 seasons and doing these individual season reviews as well as this final wrap up video and top 10 favorite episodes overall. I thank you for watching. Be sure to hit the like button, though, and the little notification bell down below so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos and series in the future, including in a couple of days. And therefore, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well if you're not subscribed so you don't miss any of my great horror content. I got like the next 5 months planned out, as I've mentioned before. I'll have a video probably coming up on the 31st, so tomorrow, of what April's going to hold for my horror channel. So, again, thank you for watching. That's Tales from the Dark Side. Fantastic series. Definitely recommend it. Have a great day and stay scared. Bye, everybody.